Hey YouTubers, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking about how much crypto do you need? How do you plan your end game? I did a video a few months back about this, but let's just revisit this again. So let's just dive straight into it. So the first thing we need to look at is the recovery. And the recovery is underway, and I'll get to the numbers that I've prepared for you in a bit. Now, this terrible time that we're in, and of course the most important thing at this point is getting over the corona crisis and making sure people get better, and then that we beat this thing. And of course we had this big dip. And this is part of this video though, in terms of your long-term strategy and in your end game. You need to stay absolutely strong. During these times of recessions, and we may be in a depression, not just a recession by the looks of things, that's when, even though people are losing their jobs and the average person is concerned about paycheck to paycheck and just making a living, this is actually where the biggest opportunity lies to make money and to set yourself up for the long term. And I didn't realize this until after the 2008 crash. And for many years, I've been waiting, when is the next event? And we saw the stock market boom, the US stock market, even the global stock market for more than 10 years, longest run ever. And then the virus came and, everything was forced. Happened earlier than some of us thought. But now, firstly, just looking at this. If you look at beginning of March, we're almost at the end of April. So we'll be in May. It'll be almost 2 months. This is the recovery, right? This drop here, everything dropped. And so any of you who bailed out of crypto at this point, I'm sorry, that was the wrong decision. The reason for that is that you don't have an end game in mind. So I did a presentation. I've seen this a lot. I see this with my friends. I say to them, what are you doing? There's a term called weak hands, and you're not going to be successful long term if you don't put this down. And the spreadsheet that I've done may help you. Hopefully it does help you, right? So the first thing is that you got to have buy and sell targets. If you don't have the targets, you don't know where you're going to enter and where you're going to exit. And I know in crypto, they say we probably will never have to exit and go back into fiat. That's the best case scenario. But you got to have those buy and sell targets, and that needs to be adjusted. But the most important thing is to have an end number in mind, realistic, but slightly challenging. And work out how to maximize your return on investment. Now, coming back to this, these types of crashes once every 10 years, 12 years, that's the opportunity, not just in crypto. So if you look here, this is Boeing. Now, there's lots of bad news around so many companies, oil. This is obviously airlines, hotels. But, I was reading Warren Buffett's book just before the corona crisis hit, to be honest. And these big guys are quite ruthless, and they say to you, there's a saying by Warren Buffett: be greedy when others are fearful. You don't blame the average person for being fearful right now, especially if they're not in a position where they've set themselves up. They have a bit of savings, they don't have cash, they're living paycheck to paycheck. If you're looking at investing, you're obviously trying to get out of that, unless of course you were born rich. If you're born rich, that's fine. You want to get more rich and still invest and not just blow everything away. So if you look at a company like this, everyone's probably thinking bad news, stay away. But globally, it's just them and Airbus. There are some Chinese and Russian contractors, aircraft manufacturers trying to get into the market. The really smart guys are saying, well, maybe it's worth putting something here. And by the way, this isn't financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy Boeing. I'm just using this as an example, right? There's the long-term trend. It's still up from 09. That's the 2008 crash. Okay? So keep that in mind. Keep the opportunity in mind. Now, crypto has actually been very quiet. Here's a YouTuber I was watching, and that's fine. We don't want it to have too many negative headlines. We don't want some of the crap that we saw in 2017 to come about again. It will when we get really bullish, when this really starts picking up. So we were making a recovery to about 10,000. The coronavirus inspired crash happened all the way down to about 4.7 briefly, but we're back at 7.6. And you know how crypto is. Your daily and weekly predictions are impossible to do, but your longer term predictions, you know we're going to test 10,000 very soon. And I won't even talk about the halving. If you're into crypto, you've heard all about the halving. And you've also heard, maybe I'll talk a little bit about Ethereum. Remember, these are the top two that I always say are the best bets. Some interesting news on Ethereum. Firstly, Tether is doing very well on Ethereum. I think there's more Tether now minted on Ethereum than on their previous platform. The market capitalization is massive. That's the one thing. And then, of course, apart from the Bitcoin halving, you've got Ethereum 2.0 coming. More dApps, staking. You've heard all of this before. I'm not going to talk too much about this. So let's get into the meat of this video, which is now, how do I plan my end game? And how much crypto do I really need? Some of you might only have the resources to buy 0.1 Bitcoin. Is that enough? Well, we're going to have a look, right? So firstly, do some research into what people talk about when it comes to retirement. Now, you might be a very young guy. You might be saying, well, I'm not even thinking about retirement. But you have to, right? So you need to start early. That's the first thing. If you're in your 20s, that's great. You've got an advantage that most of us don't have. In that if you're smart, you can start investing now, and you need to invest less than someone in their 40s. Now, I'm just at 40. I'm told I don't really look 40. I suppose I'll take it. Or perhaps the person that said that wanted something from me. Who knows? But I don't want to work till I'm 60. That's 20 years of work. And my day job's stressful, right? And I was thinking the other day, maybe I want to do my day job for another 5 years. Okay? And then after that, maybe you could still work, if things really boom, hey, maybe you don't have to work. Or you could move to the coast and do something that's not so stressful just to keep yourself busy. You want those options. Now, the first thing you need is to figure out, okay, how much money would I need as a boost to put myself into that position? If not full retirement, I know crypto guys talk about Lamborghinis, but let's just be a bit more realistic for now. And if you do it realistically and the whole moon thing happens, then hey, even better. So I've put down the spreadsheet, which you might have seen in one other video, but I'm going to explain it a lot better now in this video. So let's say you want $250,000 US. It's not a massive amount. I know in the US, many financial advisors say you need $1 million US to retire and maintain a level of lifestyle. Just keep in mind, people are living longer. So you want more than what the average person is saying. I know, and the US city that I'm most familiar with is Seattle. I come there a lot. And I know in a place like Bellevue, you may not even be able to purchase a house for $250,000. So you're probably going to need more. But let's start with this. Now, coming back to Bitcoin, I've got 3 sections here in terms of your investment. Now, Bitcoin, once we recover, which we're all expecting to, and we get the halving, we should touch this 10,000 mark again. But many agree, are on our way to the next cycle high of around 100,000. 70,000, 80,000, I mean, who knows? But I'm just putting this down as an example. And the reason I'm putting this down and I'm not putting $1 million is because, firstly, there's something else that you need to keep in mind. You're talking retirement and long term. Bitcoin may well get to $1 million in 10 years' time. But you also want a mix of things where you realize some gains in the medium term as well as be in it for the long term. Okay? So I'm looking at the medium term here, not the long term, even though I'm talking about retirement, but I'm saying I want to look at my 5-year situation. All of this is variable. Listen to everything that I'm saying and you can adjust accordingly, right? And if you want the spreadsheet, just contact me, put some comments down there, and I'll put it up somewhere. So we're looking at the medium term, the next few years. We want to realize gains over the medium term. $100,000. Okay, so what do I need to have assets worth $250,000, 2.5 Bitcoin? Okay, great. At today's price of $7,700, that means an investment of $19,200. Okay, not bad. So what next? Let's say I split that between Bitcoin and Ethereum. And we're being very, very conservative, highly conservative. We expect Ethereum to only get to 1.5. Okay, let's say, I'll tell you what, let's say we get, we double that. We double that to 3,000. And how much of each would we then need? Okay, it comes to 251. It's actually 41.2. So I'll do that quickly. 41.5. No, okay, that's fine. It's roughly there. So I need 1.25 Bitcoin, and I need to purchase then 41 Ethereum at today's price. That's the price today, roughly. Let me just adjust this. And what is it? 193. So that's the investment you need to make. So we expect Ethereum to perform a bit better. And I'm going to do an update on my overall investment strategy. Some of you may be following. So your investment will be a little bit less due to the expected higher growth in Ethereum from the current price of $193 to about $3,000. Okay, which many people will say is fairly reasonable. Then the last one is basically buying Ethereum to play that Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. And you could keep it in Ethereum, or you could trade it for Bitcoin at the ratio, right? So this is very straightforward as well. So let's say I want 1 Bitcoin and Ethereum at that price. I'll just adjust these. 193 today is what we see. And I just want maybe put 15 there, and I'm expecting for every Ethereum that I buy, I'm gonna ride that ratio. I'm hoping for it to get back to 0.1, and the previous high was a lot higher than that, depending on the exchange, right? And this is coming a little bit close. Let's just try this. Okay, we'll leave it at 11. So I mean, you can do a more accurate comparison, but you see, I mean, it's a higher total but the lowest investment because of that gain that you're going to get as this ratio climbs. Watch my other videos where I explain my equation a lot better, but this is all about the end game. So this is basically telling you, this illustrates to you that if you're bullish and if you spread your investments and you're a little bit smart, you can get to that 250 hopefully with an investment of about $12,800 today. If things go our way, if Bitcoin gets to 100,000, which many people expect, I'll show you stock to flow. Well, maybe just show you that to you now. There's the halving event. We're just days away from the halving, and you can see stock to flow has been very accurate. There have been times where it's gone a lot higher than stock to flow. Boom in 2011. I unfortunately wasn't around then. Well, not in the Bitcoin space, I mean. And of course, the 2017 boom that we're all aware of went way past stock to flow. But even if it maintains stock to flow, in about a year's time, So 2021, there we go, April, 94,000. Okay, it's looking very, very good. So coming back to this, that's reasonable. Ethereum at 3,000, we'll see what happens with Ethereum 2.0. And that will definitely drive the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, which is the biggest opportunity. Sitting today, it's come back up to 0.02. I'm saying it could get to 0.1. Okay, 4 times what it is right now. And you adjust accordingly, and then you can work out what I need to invest. Maybe you don't have 12,000 now, but you can adjust downwards, or maybe you've got more than 12,000, and you could say, well, that 19,000, what if I double it? What if I want to end up with 500,000 worth of assets? How do I then carve that out and work out accordingly? So it's very important to do this. A lot of people got into crypto, and the reason they got out is because they didn't do this. They didn't plan how much they need. Okay, coming back to how much crypto you need, it depends on you. If you put in here that Bitcoin could get to 500,000, but we're not saying when, then 0.2 Bitcoin will give you $100,000 worth. And if you're happy with that from crypto, you've got other investments, then 0.2, yeah, that's going to be it for you. You just need to invest $1,500 today. And the only other piece of info that you need to plan on is when will it get to 500,000. Right? So if I look at stock to flow says that the next halving after this, it could hit 1 million. I mean, if that happens, let's say it gets to 1 million, 2025. We are talking 5 years out, right? So $1 million, and that 0.2 is worth 200,000. So you invest $1,500 now and wait 5 years. So then 0.2 could be enough for you. And some people are actually saying that. And of course, this $1,500 will be a lot less if you put those numbers into the rest of the spreadsheet, which I will not do now. So I hope that was a little bit eye-opening for you and helpful. But basically, have your buy and sell targets, have an end number in mind, and then 0.3, work out how to maximize ROI. That's what I've done with this spreadsheet. And if you'd like me to share this, I'll put up a link. I'll share it on a OneDrive or something like that. Just let me know in the comments. So keep in mind the bigger picture. Don't let the recession put you off crypto in any ways. The recovery is underway. This is the time where you could set yourself up very well for the next 10-20 years. I saw it in 2008, but I mean, to be fair, I didn't have the investment cash at that time. And then of course, blockchain is important for other reasons as well, in terms of changing society. So stay safe out there, practice social distancing, and I'll see you at my next video. But in the meantime, hope that helped.